Greetings and welcome to Metaphysical Awakenings with Barbara
and Eric and Ladybug, our executive producer. Yes, that's right. That's all right.
So this is episode 25.
Wow.
I can't believe that.
That's pretty incredible.
It sure is. And this is a very special episode.
Yes.
Not because it's only episode 25, but because of the topic that we're talking about. And it's healing the root cause.
Yes. I'm going to be reading some of the things that I've downloaded recently from Spirit, and we'll go little by little. But ultimately, our goal is to do a healing on our sweet executive producer, because she's our sweet baby gal, and she needs that love infill.
That's right, and I'm so appreciative of you being open to doing this. For our audience, Ladybug, she's 10 and a half years young, and she is doing so well and such in great spirits. And Cavaliers, a lot of times, genetically, they have heart issues, but fortunately, Ladybug's never been one to have had that, and I'm so blessed. But recently, she's developed some signs in her blood indicating that her kidneys are not doing what her kidneys need to do, and it's been causing a bit of concern. Fortunately, my long-term girlfriend, she's been so amazing as far as not only taking care of her. Now she's in the medical profession, but all throughout the 4+ years that I've known her, just loving on her and dressing up on all sorts of outfits and just taking such great care of her.
Right.
But recently we've had to do a little bit more in terms of keeping Ladybug healthy. At first it was change of diet and then also some supplements. But more recently, it's been giving her sub-Q fluids. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, it's basically putting fluids in the back of her neck.
Giving her a camelback is what it's called.
Giving her a camelback, it gives her a hump. Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
So her body can process it, or process all the things that need to get out of her system in there. Mm-hmm. And even though that's been a lot, one of the upsides of it, at least from a relationship standpoint, is I feel that her and I and Ladybug have grown closer together as a family, because it causes us to have a process to one of us. We wash our hands, we get the fluids out, we get everything sterilized, we bring her together. I count down on the process of 3, 2, 1 to poking her in the back of the neck, which is it's not the most fun, but
it's necessary.
And I guess that's been one of the upsides of it, is it's caused our family to have grown closer. So I asked a very personal thing of you as far as today is hey, we've been talking about all this animal healing, and our executive producer here, Ladybug, is in need of healing. So I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this. And what was really interesting is that after I shared that with you, you said, I just had this download of this incredible information recently.
There's no coincidences, are there? No.
I guess not.
No.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Yeah. Never. Interestingly, the shows that I go to, I refer to them often called Spirit Fest. I am the animal communicator, and the preponderance of the animal disorders that come through are kidney related. And I am going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this is 100% brought on by improper diet and even water.
It's so interesting that you said water, because we've been been very mindful of that as far as getting water from my girlfriend's filter from the refrigerator. But then we started thinking more and more like maybe that's not the best sense of water. So since then we've been just buying purified water.
Okay, there are other things that can be done. That'll have to be a whole nother episode, but I will tell you this, that it has been shown and proven scientifically that praying over the water changes the molecules.
That's right.
And it will help the body to intake that which has been put upon.
Well, isn't that what holy water is? Even from like Catholicism, which
Yes.
has been around for over 1,000 years.
Yes,
holy
sir.
water is something that has been known.
And I've been using it a lot. Yes, and that's exactly right. And this falls all the way back down to intention.
Right.
Right. If we're going to go on the spiritual side of things, the intention that we have for bringing forth energetic food or water or thoughts or ideas is certainly one thing, isn't it, Sweet Pea? The other part of that is our human side, where we need to be doing the right things by the proper water, the proper nutrition, no fillers, no artificial ingredients, no crap food for us or for our animals. And one thing I'm going to share with you very quickly before we go into all of this is I had a dog in kidney failure. I think I probably talked about this in one of our episodes not too long ago, but the long and the short of it was that I called upon a pet psychic, another animal communicator, to please help me. And she brought through my dog, Taboo, we just call her Boo, who had crossed over. And we talked about what was going on with Budrick, and it was brought up that the grass, wheatgrass was extremely important to get integrated into Bud's food immediately. And my dog, I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but I don't care because this is my life. The dog let the communicator know that the wheatgrass is not simply just for Buddy the dog, but that I needed it as well. It's the chlorophylls. We don't eat enough vegetation, period. We certainly don't go out and graze like cows, and get the wheatgrass and things like that. But there are many supplements that people are taking more, and they're creating, in the juices that they drink.
And one thing I was sharing with you a little bit ago is that Ladybug, she loves, whenever she's on walks, to go out and eat grass. And I never exactly understood why until you kind of explained it today that she was needing that chlorophyll, needing that.
Yeah. Their little bodies need that, but that doesn't mean that their stomach is going to accept it real well because, unfortunately, a lot of the times, the good part is, the grassy juice that they chew up will go through, but the grass body and anything around it usually comes back up and creates a little mess for us. And frankly, I don't care. I want to do whatever is highest and best, obviously, for our animals. But I want to continue on our line here so we can follow through to where we're going to wind up doing a healing on our Sweet Pea here. As an energy healer, I'm also a medical intuitive, and that comes with my mediumship. So bear with me as I read this. Quantum physics has proven that we live in a vibrational universe. Everything in this universe is a vibration, isn't it, baby dog?
Including you.
Yes, sweet baby dog. Right. Yes. Vibrations slow down, create solid matter, like the chairs or the computer or the water glass or man or dog or whatever. Albert Einstein said matter is energy. Mm-hmm. Energy is light. We are all light beings. Now, what is very interesting to me after I was reminded of that statement by our dear Einstein was that as a very young child, I saw things, I saw people as in terms of light vibrations that they were people, but they also had this very white light kind. It's so hard to explain, but I was just a little kid, and I thought, oh, that's everybody's way of normal being. I didn't have the presence of mind to think that I'm the only one that can see that. I certainly didn't take any time to interpret it. And I certainly didn't understand it, but I already had eyes upon that which the universe truly is. That is, as you probably already know, at the age of 5, when I was talking to the people nobody could see but me and talking about all these different universal things, I was put into the psychiatrist's office at the age of 5, and all of that shut down immediately, because for a child, that equals bad, and I never wanted to be bad.
It instilled that fear.
That's exactly what it is. If I did not, then I was going to come back to this talking doctor, and the fear of having to do that, I didn't know what was going to come next.
So it's just easier to just shut it off and say, okay, it doesn't exist anymore.
Nope. Figment of my imagination, Mommy, that's fine. Where's my Coke? She always... this simple life back in the day, but she would, buy me a Coke if I would go downtown and behave. But anyway, going back to energy healing, it's a way of looking at the universe of vibration, and for a medical intuitive, that is interpreting what is considered normal for the vibrational body and that which stands out as abnormal. Now, what in the world does that mean? Well, it means you got to get to studying if you want to learn to understand about the light being and vibrational things and all of that. That would be quantum touch. If you wanted to take a course in quantum touch, that is the way that you go to learn to interpret these things. I've gotten to a place in my life now where I trust the information that comes from spirit far and beyond any information that I might be given by a human being. Now, that doesn't mean, it is what it is. Spirit has not failed me yet. And I don't even need to knock on wood. That is the truth. And human beings, we are fallible. Fallible,
sure.
Speaking of fallible. But, the point is, we are not perfect. I am certainly at the bottom line of not being perfect. And, my goal is to move Barbara out of the way and allow all of this information from spirit to come through.
Right, we're spiritual beings living a human existence, and as humans, we're fallible, and that's part of our growth process and ascending to the next level and learning the lessons that we need to. And sometimes some of us are quicker at learning those lessons than others, and sometimes we have to repeat those lessons over and over until we get that again, but that's part of that process.
Right. It reminds me of a stupid thing my brother-in-law taught me. If Pete and Repeat were on a boat and Pete fell off, we'd be left. And as a stupid little kid, I'd go, Repeat and Repeat. Anyways, I get, as I was saying, I get my information from spirit and I trust it. The goal with energy healing for me is to find the root cause of the disorder or the disharmony or the disease that shows up.
Digging down deeper into the root cause, that's challenging, because a lot of times the things that we address are more of the surface level things or the mid-level things, but not actually the root causes. And it takes a lot of bravery and a lot of trust and a lot of discernment to be able to get to that level.
Practice,
absolutely.
Practice makes progress. The more that you practice a thing, the faster you interpret it and move forward. Mm-hmm. This has been a journey for me. I didn't just bink up like I Dream of Jeannie and have all of these understandings. I worked through the quantum touch. I've worked through the different modalities and courses and things that I have done to create my own little personal toolbox. And by the grace of God, one of my biggest blessings has been for the animals. It is that spirit moving through me. That love that comes from healing animals is far and beyond anything I've experienced in my life. My interpretation of love came from a dog. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you that story.
Please share.
Because it's beautiful. I did rescue my husband and I. Well, he wasn't my husband then, but we were together 20 plus years before we got married. So he's my husband now. But we'd been on vacation, and this was when the internet was just first starting to come out, and everybody had a computer, and, it was all about the emails. And my email was backed up 10 miles by requests to help this dog in Levy County. And it just so happened I was going to be going up later that week to pick up another dog in that area, so I would go have a look. So I told everybody, calm down, I'll go look. And her name at that time was Kimmy. I got there. Kimmy was covered in tumors, just covered in them. They had put her, okay, I'm not going to cry. They had put her out in a kennel by herself, cold and alone, to separate her. They did nothing about the fleas and the ticks all over her. When I got to her, I said, okay, come on, you're coming with me. I said, and they were getting after me. You want to let this dog, we need to let this dog go. She's got cancer. And I said, listen, I came all of this way. This dog has not known one damn day of human love. So she is now in Barbara's hospice care.
There it is.
So she got up and she do plop. I've never seen it in my life. A circle of flea dirt circled her. There were so many fleas on her. I looked at her gums and they were white. She literally had almost no blood. I got her home. I got her washed up, and the one thing I had going for me, she's a hound dog. She liked to eat.
Like meat.
Hey, praise God. So I put her in the middle of the kitchen with all of the other dogs. I think I had 11 at the time. And my littlest dog, Petunia, decided that she was going to love this dog. We changed her name to Hope because I kept hoping she was going to be okay. Anyway, so as I got her to the vet told me to put her down. Same story, said she's not going to be here but for 2 weeks. I said, well, then she's going to get 2 weeks of love. And if she goes, she's going to go right here with me. Fine. Well, we passed 2 weeks. The dog kept eating. She wouldn't look up. Now, she wouldn't look up. She had no trust of humans. We got to 3 weeks. We got to 4 weeks, and I got my miracle. She looked at me in the eye, and I heard her say, all right, human, you're on. You're on. I get it. So the diagnosis was bone cancer, liver, spleen, and what were the tumors? Sarcomas.
Okay.
She and lung. I mean, she had it. It was metastasized everywhere. Oh. And I'm waiting. It's a month. It's 2 months. It's 3 months, and she's getting stronger and better. And she was following me everywhere I would go. She wouldn't get there, but she'd try to follow me. And out in the back 40 was where I had the quarantine of the puppies or the new dogs that came in because I wouldn't cross-contaminate. And she'd get about a quarter of the way. And she'd just wait for me to come back. And anyway, that was our daily routine.
That's adorable.
Yeah, so everybody in the group knew about Hope. We all loved her. And anyway, so it was one spring morning. She did her to-do, and I'd gone out to the back 40 and done my thing. And I saw her laying there in the sunshine, like she loves to do. And I came back. Hope had fallen asleep in the arms of the sunlight and the arms of God. 1 year, 6 months, and 8 days later.
How much more beautiful is that as opposed to it being over at the vet's office in a cold place to where that was the end.
Right. The miracle.
That was a miracle.
The miracle here is the love that grew in that dog caused her to want to stay and have more and more. So she willed herself, even with all of this cancer, 1 year, 6 months, and 8 days later, her body could take no more, and she went to sleep.
Ladybug says, I'm really happy for Hope.
Yes.
For Petunia.
And Petunia. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that's the power of love. And that's how I learned to define love. By that joy and that life force given to that dog. She taught me the true meaning of love, I'm telling you.
Yeah. My girlfriend, she's feeling kind of distraught about this.
Oh, yeah.
She kind of doesn't want to take trips anymore because of it, because she's afraid that Ladybug's not going to be here for so long. She also feels bad that like maybe she could have done more for her, and I feel like she's not the only person who has felt that way about other animals. And sometimes she asks like, why don't you feel that same way? And I was like, well, I've known Ladybug for 10.5 years. I've given her the best life that she can and haven't been perfect. And you're doing such a great job. But are there any words that you can give people who are absolutely trying their best, who are maybe not feeling that they've done enough?
Right.
That they have maybe some guilt, I guess.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Guilt has nothing to do with your life. Guilt is something that somebody should feel if you purposefully and with forethought of malice went out to physically harm someone, to kill someone, or to do bad things for someone or to someone. Right. That's guilt. Get rid of it. Secondly, and the most important thing is this: we don't get a say-so in their lives.
Oh.
We, just like our humanness, our existence on this planet, my existence is between me and God. Nobody else, everybody else is a bystander, you see. And it's the same thing with our animals. And you wonder, oh my gosh, why couldn't God save this? Why couldn't God do that? Well, maybe it's because when they wrote their contract to come through in this lifetime, that's how they were to go out. That, again, is between them and God, and we don't get a say-so. What we get is to love them with every ounce of our being, every moment that we can while they're here, and to not hold ourselves accountable for not doing enough or not doing this or not integrating that. Everybody does their best. And we're coming a long way with science, but I'm telling you the truth when I tell you that we're never going to find their expiration stamp, because only God knows that. Right? And we do the best that we can, and when they pass, of course it hurts. We miss the physical. I lost Albus, for God's sake. It took me 2 months to come back from that, and I even know better. All right? But that's the human part of us. We can mourn the physical, but they're just unzipping their dog suits, going back to that light being that I was talking about, and zinging around the universe. They're free. We are setting these animals free from diseased and older bodies. When they pass, we're letting them, we're free to move about the cabin, And yeah, it hurts like hell. There's nothing you can do about that, because we know great love because we feel great loss. We feel great loss because we know great love. Mm-hmm. And that's the human condition. But holding somebody responsible for guilt it's not the truth of us. There's not even regret here. Everything that you guys are doing is the right thing for her, our little Missy.
Yeah, we're doing the best that we can at the moment. And a different situation from 5 years ago. Ladybug grew up with another Cavalier. And they weren't brothers and sisters, but I mean, they essentially, grew up together. Mm-hmm. And when my ex and I split up, she ended up taking that dog, and I took this dog. And I was super worried at first that Ladybug would be so sad and heartbroken from not having that other dog, because that other dog was around her the entire time. And I was projecting my fear as far as that, my humanness onto her.
Yeah.
But what was so crazy is that the exact opposite happened. She was so much happier after she was the only dog who got all the attention.
Exactly.
And I looked at myself like, what was I thinking all the time? I projected all this energy of this fear onto her that she didn't have any of that.
See, all of that is man-made nonsense that has been projected upon us for thousands of years to manipulate us to do things that we wouldn't normally do if we would just find the spirituality of our lives and understand that God is all-loving, all-knowing, and we all get to live happily ever after. And, projecting things not only on our animals, but people project their things on their kids.
That's right. On kids too. Yeah. And the more and more I get older, and I like to think a little bit wiser, I realize that God provides in those times of void. Whenever we lose something or we give up something or release something,
right,
that provides a space in that universe and the energy for something more or often better to come into that oftentimes we would never even imagine or expect. So change is inevitable. And another challenge that my girlfriend has experienced is she says, well, I'm not sure if I ever want to get another dog again, just because I know that eventually they're going to pass before I do.
Oh, sweetheart.
And that's kind of, and there's truth to that. Dogs live a fraction of the time that we do as humans.
Right.
I don't know if there's any encouragement that you can say in terms of of that.
I've walked this path many times myself.
Because you've had so many pets in your
hundreds
lifetime.
And hundreds because of rescue work. I've literally had over 250 come through my own home. Okay, and those who were ill or unadoptable stayed in Barbara's hospice care until that time where they crossed over. Now, if I decided that I couldn't take this anymore, what would have become of all of them?
Oh, yeah, good point.
Holding something away from yourself and keeping love away from you will only harm you in the end. You're depriving yourself of what for me is the perfect definition of, love. What's the word?
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Thank you. This is unconditional love.
This is what they provide.
And why would you want to deprive yourself of that? Because the last weeks or months are hard. Of course they're going to be hard. They're hard for people. They're hard for animals. We are a human species that has all of this love and all of these feelings that don't like the separation. But Go ahead.
Yeah, it's that fear of separation and forgetting momentarily that we are all connected. And that's just that's a human trait, and it's understandable. And I mean, I've felt that way before, and I know many other people have. So I have a lot of empathy and compassion to people who are feeling that way, because I felt that way before. And it's easier said than done to remind us that we are all connected, and separation is an illusion.
Yeah, and and we can say that separation is the illusion, but how do you prove that?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's where we get into the quantum physics and the spiritual side of understanding. And I see these light beings. I know when I have a client who sits down and shows me a picture of their animal that has passed over, boop, they are there. They are immediately there, and they're so happy that somebody can actually hear them and express that love is alive and it will never go away. It will never change. It goes on and on and on through every lifetime, for all time, the end. Amen.
That brings me to an interesting question, because some people will pay $50,000, $100,000 to get their dogs cloned. And it has their same genetics, but what I've heard a lot of times is it doesn't necessarily have the same personality.
I don't see how it could. Because who creates the souls?
There's the answer.
Who creates the souls that come into the bodies? You've got the science that can make an alive being, but it's not going to work unless God puts the soul and animates that specific animal. It couldn't come back and be the same dog.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I have no interest in ever. Well, I don't want the funds either, but
well, still.
But if that wasn't an issue to recreate Ladybug, yeah, it might look genetically similar, but I can't imagine it would be the same personality, the same soul.
No,
you answered it directly with that.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, the soul. I mean, now I will go back, and this is a whole nother show topic, but talking about reincarnation, where a soul comes back and takes on another existence, another life form. Do they know it? Do they not? Well, that's where we get into finding out about past lives and regressions and stuff like that. And it's so big and diverse that there's no possible way that we can touch on everything, but to say that God's got it all in hand if we just trust and believe and know, I'm going to leave someday. I'm going to go. I don't want everybody mourning over me. You better go have a big Irish party, drink a drink, and say sláinte.
That's right.
To the McGillicuddy that I was.
Celebration of life. That's what I want too.
Yes.
I don't want any sort of mourningful anything or whatever. Like, even if I was to go at this moment, even though I'm relatively young at 40, I've lived such a full and happy and prosperous life. I've had so many blessings toward me, and I like to think that Ladybug has had a really great life too. She is
when she became a soloist, it was the greatest.
Yeah
Didn't ya? Yeah.
And also I think one other thing that for me has made Ladybug really special is I was intentional about, when she was growing up, never ever teasing her, and never ever well, of course, it's always fun to play, get games with dogs and stuff like that. But you know what that type of teasing is that some people can do, that get the dog mad and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's just not right. Yeah,
it's not right, and
no.
I never wanted it to happen. And as a result, I like to think as part of that result, she's turned out into this just sweet, gentle being that everyone just loves and wants to be around, and
can't wait to see what your girlfriend's going to put on her next, what kind of outfit she's going to show up in,
Oh, yeah, she's
precious.
She's the best.
She is the best. And, we are all children of the divine.
Yeah.
And whatever happens through God. We have no say-so. We have intention, and we can create situations and bring things into our lives, and we can ask. That's another thing we can talk about in blueprints, and the exit points, and asking, if we could stay past our time. There is a way of doing that. That's through Mother God. But that's a whole nother Oprah show too. The point being, with what's happening, we want to live our highest and best lives in health and happiness and joy and peace. And when we turn things to healing and wholeness, that's the whole equation. You go to healing to find your wholeness.
That's right.
So that you can live your highest and best divine life while you're in the human condition. And I think, at least for this episode, we've covered a lot, and maybe we need to do a part 2 when we get to the healing of the girl, because I want to explain more about energy healing and then actually do my thing for everyone to take it and use it for yourself. I'll do an actual healing for her. Does that mean it's 100% and it's going to work? I pray so. But there again, I don't know. Only God knows. But what we can do is we can move symptoms up and off and allow her time to be healthful and whole. And that's our goal.
Absolutely. And I think that is going to be our very next episode, to where we're actually going to see that process happen, for you to see how we can take these principles and apply them to action. Because besides talking about these metaphysical awakenings, we also want to live in those and to be actionable and take movement forward into making it happen. So we look forward to you joining us on the very next one, to where you're going to see Barbara demonstrate her gifts for Ladybug, our executive producer.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
We love you all, and we have much compassion for whatever you're dealing with, whether it be in terms of your animals, your friends, your children, your entire life. And please know we're here for you. And please leave any comments that you like. We're always welcome to respond.
Yes.
Take care and see you next time.